Yeah, you think? You
So
think?
now we are
What?
probably live.
What? You think? Really?
I'm not
This?
sure.
What's live?
Wait.
I'm confused.
We're live! Hey! This week we chat with John Holmquist, the man behind Bitcoin Black Friday and a variety of other online shops that exclusively use Bitcoin. We'll ask what it's like to run a Bitcoin store that sells neither drugs nor assassinations. We'll also discuss Coin, the $100 piece of plastic that combines your credit cards. Is it as stupid as we think? Listeners disagree. And people will soon be able to rent Watson, which won Jeopardy! The computer that won Jeopardy, sorry. Can he do more than win game shows? All this in an epic rant by one James Bruce about PlayStation in this week's episode 89. Because you're listening to Technophilia, keep doing that. My name's Justin Pott. I'm in Boulder, Colorado. With me today, as always, from the UK, as always, is Mr. James Bruce. How you doing, James?
I'm epically pissed off. Someone's saying haircut in the chat. Was that me or you? Did you get a haircut? I got one too.
I didn't get a haircut. What are you talking about? This is
I
how my hair
shaved
is
all mine
always
off.
looked. I refuse to acknowledge any rumors of haircuts. You know what? This actually happened 2 weeks ago, but I wore a hat through the episode last week, so no one noticed.
Oh,
I
sneaky.
found that hilarious, yeah. Also with me today, from Connecticut, is Dave LeClaire. How you doing, Dave?
I'm doing, I'm not mad, unlike James.
Because you got your PS4 and it's working.
Although it took like 4 days longer than it should have, because I'm pretty sure we got in for that day one pre-order, but then Amazon was like, nah, screw you, you can wait till Tuesday.
They clearly don't know who you are, Dave.
I was like, I'm reviewing this thing, right? Nah, fuck you. Too bad.
You didn't actually tell them that, did you?
No, I didn't speak to them because I didn't order it. It wasn't on my account. It was on Mickey's account.
Also with me, who we're talking over right now from somewhere to the west of me, I think, is John Holmquist of Bitcoin Black Friday and a lot of other online Bitcoin-related stores. How you doing, John?
Doing good. Thanks for having me.
You're somewhere in California, right?
Yeah, Southern California, around Orange County.
Southern California. Yeah. So John and I talked, I think about 8 months back ago.
It was a while ago, back when Bitcoin was cheap.
Yeah, back when Bitcoin was worth like 60, and everyone's like, "Oh, there's no way it can stay at this price. This is artificial." Right? What's it at now? 900. So I want to give you a little fill in here. There is someone in the chat room claiming to be John Holmquist. Are you in the chat room?
Not yet, I don't think.
Calling you out, imposter. You are not a real person. Chat room, John Holmquist.
I like my haircut, it says.
That's cheeky.
Oh man, it took like you were in the chat room about an hour before the show. I wanted you to know in case you didn't. Yeah. So yeah, when we talked, Bitcoin was about 60, and people were saying, "Wow, this is just artificially high." What's it at now? Like 900?
600.
Last I checked, it was around 500 or so. It's been going crazy lately.
So we
a lot
have
of speculation.
Plus what?
A lot of speculation over the Senate hearings have been going on. It's been pushed up to 900 or 700, depending on what exchange you're using.
Yeah, and from what I understand, a lot of this is actually China-based, isn't it? There's people there who are starting to use it to sidestep stuff. So
I heard China owned like half of Bitcoins now.
China
Something
does?
Stupid.
Like
Not
the Communist Party?
Or oh, you mean just Chinese people in general?
Oh no, I just thought it was like China rather than Chinese people, but fair enough. It might be.
I thought it was Chinese people trying to like. Yeah.
It appears to mainly be Chinese users, not the Chinese government, but for Chinese user to be doing anything, the government sort of has to be approving.
Well,
Fair point.
The point of Bitcoin is that they wouldn't, isn't it? Anyways, we can get to that a little. The political point of view isn't necessarily your expertise. You are interesting, and I wrote an article about Bitcoin pointing this out, in that you're not really that into the politics of Bitcoin. You're interested in how it's useful. Why Bitcoin? Can you give the summary?
Well, so I really got into Bitcoin because, quite frankly, I used to play a lot of poker, and I saw it as an interesting way to sort of get around the Black Friday sort of restrictions that the U.S. government placed on American poker.
Yeah.
Realistically, though, it's not really a way to sidestep it because, as we're seeing, if regulators are going to come in and make sure that people are doing proper AML and anti-money laundering procedures. But through sort of looking for alternatives to the current financial system, I discovered Bitcoin, which really is a much better alternative than what we have today. a lot of banks still use technology that they developed in like the 50s, 60s, 70s. They're not really high tech. A lot of COBOL still going on the back end.
And that's why, for example, it takes 5 days after PayPal, like I get a payment on PayPal before it shows up in my bank. And
Right.
yeah, it's an alternative system that was set up to be the same as if someone handed a piece of paper. Like, it was modeled around that in the 60s, and it still lives on. So yeah, it's ancient. It takes forever. In the UK, I think they've sorted that, but here in America, certainly transferring money.
Europe's banking system is a lot better than ours. I think it's actually, but it's still pretty much cheaper or faster actually to send just straight up cash in a UPS box. It'll get to you in a couple days instead of the week or so it takes for a wire.
Yeah, seriously, it's really bad here.
Really?
Kashi in the chat room, who has been writing on the the Technophilia Facebook page for months the current price of Bitcoin, just so we would be aware, it's at 585 USD. He's telling me. So there you go. That's still obscenely high, and so you got into it.
Wait, from Kashi, did you know that Mt. Gox started as Magic the Gathering online exchange? I did not know that.
What?
That makes
It's a
sense.
cute little fact.
GOX, Magic the Gathering online exchange. Huh.
Wow, Bitcoin's legit.
I love Magic the Gathering, so it's cool with me.
What's so amazing about it is that Bitcoin just started out mainly from a lot of these just hobbyist computer science people. You had a lot of very smart technical talent that sort of took the entire financial institution, which includes a lot of exchanges, and just kind of made it themselves. So you have those Mt. Gox exchanges that were just kind of hacked together last minute, which have turned into actual businesses with millions of dollars in revenue.
So your online poker, you see this as a way to get across, but that sparks your interest. But
It sparked my interest.
You ended up doing more than poker.
Yeah, so I quickly discovered that the U.S. regulators will regulate whatever they want. It doesn't matter if you found a clever loophole through their systems. And the other thing too is I wanted to follow the law. I just wanted to also play poker at the same time. So that's kind of a common sentiment that I have been receiving among a lot of Bitcoiners is they want to do things legally, especially with Bitcoin. They just want a better system. So past poker, I started getting involved with a lot of different Bitcoin merchants because that's really where I saw the utility of Bitcoin. Getting around buying
you saw
things,
the utility of a currency as being buying stuff? That's insane. That's crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the interesting thing is Bitcoin's not just a currency; it's also a payment network. It's a payment system.
Yeah, you're right.
It allows you to send the currency.
So tell me about that distinction, because a currency is obviously a piece of paper that I can hand to you, and then you have $5, and then I can have your old skateboard or whatever. But a payment system's a little different. A payment system is the network we have of banks that can send money from one to the other.
Right. It would be like taking your cash example and applying the U.S. Post Service to it as well.
Yeah.
The big difference is it's over the internet, so it's pretty much instantaneous.
That's what Bitcoin is, because
yes,
without something like Bitcoin, a currency that is native to the internet and can move across the internet quickly, you have to work through intermediaries. You have to work through PayPal. You have to do. I use something called Bill Pay with my bank. And what it does is it automatically mails a physical check to the companies, and that's how my bills get paid, right? And from my point of view, it's like this, I just go online and do it. But from the point of the view of the company that gets the money, it's a piece of paper that they have to then deal with and process.
Right.
So, yeah, so that's what you mean. And you were talking with existing merchants about Bitcoin.
Right. I do a lot of evangelism. I talk with existing merchants and ask them if they want to adopt a Bitcoin. Really, it's just another option for merchants to get paid online. It's not like I'm forcing them to drink the Kool-Aid and only use Bitcoin.
Yeah.
It's an addition that's actually cheaper for them to use and cheaper for their customers to use and faster.
Does the massive fluctuation with Bitcoin now, well over 500, affect that argument? Is it like...
That was my question.
Yeah.
Yes. So the easy way to respond is to break it back down into a currency and a payment network. As a currency, it affects it because you're holding that currency, you're using it as a currency in your day-to-day operations.
Yeah.
As a payment network, you're just using the currency of Bitcoin to transfer value, which means on both sides, you're pulling it out into another currency.
Oh, so I could, through these stores, say I wanted to, coming back to the old skateboard example that the chat room seems to be loving and reacting to, I could be, okay, John, I want your old skateboard. I'm going to pay you with Bitcoin. I don't have any Bitcoin. That's no problem. There's a little pop-up that will exchange my money for Bitcoin.
Right. So you'd exchange your USD in your bank account for some
Yeah.
Bitcoin, send me that
Okay.
Bitcoin, and then with a lot of Bitcoin payment processors out there right now, there's an option to immediately liquidate any received Bitcoin into USD that then hits the merchant's bank account.
But it still
Allowing
takes me 2 weeks to get a Bitcoin.
Right. There's still massive infrastructure issues in the United States and other parts of the world. Europe's getting a lot farther along, and China's going absolutely nuts.
With the infrastructure for Bitcoin, you mean?
Yes. So the main issue there is you're taking a new financial protocol, Bitcoin,
Mm-hmm.
and you're just trying to plug it into the old financial system because that's the only way that you can move money into Bitcoin.
That's what's happening here. So if I go to the site, I would say, oh, I want to buy this with Bitcoin, but what would happen is I would have to connect my bank to some kind of Bitcoin exchange to make that happen.
Right. That's generally how people do it.
Okay. So yeah,
So it's like
that's a
2
little more
weeks to verify you, and then 2 weeks to verify the transfer. It's like a month in total before you can buy Bitcoin, and the price
Exactly.
may have gone up 1,000,000 times since then, which is why I basically gave up and didn't try it, didn't bother.
It's not really a consumer-friendly platform at this point. That's kind of one of my biggest criticisms about Bitcoin. But I'm really optimistic about all these Senate hearings. I think that if Bitcoin in the United States is embraced by regulators, still some restriction put on it just for safety, for anti-money laundering purposes. Companies will then be able to create consumer-friendly options for purchasing Bitcoin and using Bitcoin.
Yeah. Okay. So do you find your clientele limited by Bitcoin's lack of consumer friendliness? I mean, if you have Bitcoin already, it's the easiest thing in the world, right? But if you don't have some, that process sounds a lot more complicated than PayPal to me.
I think we're a lot better off than we were a year ago. Coinbase has been doing some really good things in the United States and making it easy to use.
Yep.
And I think it's really only a matter of time until the infrastructure is developed. It's just getting that initial jump, like you said. Once you have Bitcoin, it's easy as can be.
So talk to us about Bitcoin Black Friday. This is obviously a reference to the day after Thanksgiving here in the United States. It's the biggest shopping day of the year, part of the lead up to Christmas, which is the day in which we celebrate the birth of our anti-materialistic savior by buying as much crap as possible, for those of you in India, just to kind of clarify there. So, what is Bitcoin Black Friday? What is this, a bunch of stores working together?
Yeah, it's really as simple as that. It's a community event. I threw it last year, just kind of together in like pretty much a week, just kind of a last-minute sort of thing. We had about 75 merchants sign up last year. This year we're doing the event again. It's grown a lot bigger because there are a lot more Bitcoin merchants nowadays. But they're all going to be offering some really amazing deals. November 29th, which is also the normal Black Friday as well. And it's just a way to generate press for these Bitcoin merchants and to actually tell Bitcoin consumers to go spend their hoarded Bitcoins.
Why would you spend it? If you held on to it for the past 5 months, you'd have made hundreds or thousands or in some cases millions of dollars. Why should people spend it right now?
What good's a currency if you don't go around spending a little bit of it sometimes?
Well, that's a good point. That's a good point.
It's really also it's a way for users to support the Bitcoin economy.
Mm-hmm.
Really, the Bitcoin merchants are a big aspect of the Bitcoin economy, the utility of Bitcoin, which directly translate into the value of Bitcoin as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's in a Bitcoin user's best interest to support Bitcoin merchants.
I think as far as the media is concerned right now, the only thing you can buy with Bitcoin is drugs or part of an assassination.
Yeah, we referenced that earlier. It was speculated that when the Silk Road went down, the price of Bitcoin would just tank. That Bitcoin was a currency, much the way the U.S. currency used to be backed by gold, that was backed by heroin. that's not been the case, has it? That really shows that there's wider appeal here.
Yeah, if Silk Road would have collapsed a lot earlier in Bitcoin's career, I think the price would have tanked. But BitPay has been processing more transactions than the Silk Road has been daily since like March of last year.
Oh wow, I
Like,
didn't realize that.
Is that a replacement for Silk Road? Can we buy drugs there? This is the important question.
No, you can buy everything else there though. They're a Bitcoin payment processor.
All right. I had some questions.
So that's a U.S.-based company, right?
Yeah, so it's a U.S.-based company.
That's subject to regulation, even if Bitcoin as a currency is kind of nebulous and beyond the scope of what any regulators in any country can do. And I think that's what you're talking about when you say this needs to be regulated more. It's not that the system overall needs to be taken over by the government. You're saying that like people need legitimate ways to use the currency or it's never going to catch on.
Right. I think it's going to be mainly the responsibility is going to be placed on these companies that are exchanging whatever other currency into Bitcoin. That's really where the government's going to be watching and making sure that people provide strict anti-money laundering and know your customer requirements.
Yeah. Because once something exists in Bitcoin, it's kind of like it's in cash, right? The U.S. government can't oversee where it is or where it goes. But at the exchange level, yeah.
That's arguable because you're using a very, very transparent system. You know where all the money's going. Once you track down whatever currencies in whatever target's account, let's say a terrorist organization, you're able to sort of block it off, not at the source, but make sure that they can't spend it anywhere where they want to spend it.
Interesting. So it's not a system that's completely anonymous or completely beyond people watching it the way that it's hyped to be in the press.
It's a very pseudo-anonymous system, and this has created a lot of controversy because there have been a couple community members who've come out and said that they support creating solutions for the government to use to sort of track where coins are going and red listing them, which the Bitcoin community is kind of come out very strongly against. It's a tough question to answer.
So I met you by emailing the entire Bitcoin press at Bitcoin mailing list account.
Yes.
And you were one of the two people to speak up. And I think the piece that I got was a good contrast between the two prevailing mentalities among the Bitcoin community, at least so far as I can perceive it. There's those who view it primarily through a political lens and those who view it through a practical lens. Is that kind of a conflict in the community? Is that
a little bit?
Yeah.
The interesting thing is there is really no one figurehead in the Bitcoin community. The Bitcoin Foundation has sort of come out and tried to be a spokesperson, but other members in the community have pretty much rebelled against them. Even the leadership inside the Bitcoin community is entirely decentralized and distributed. Everyone just has their different opinion, and some people go around spouting it.
What are your thoughts on some of the newer copycat currencies like Litecoin? Do you think they're going to take off? Do they devalue the Bitcoin mission? Do you think there's more room for any more of them?
Litecoin I don't particularly like. I think I'm actually really enjoying seeing the community build up around it. It will be interesting to see where it goes. I think altcoins that simply take the existing Bitcoin code and tweak a couple things to it really aren't going to go anywhere. I see altcoins like Mastercoin and even Ripple, if you can call it an altcoin, as drastic changes to the way that Bitcoin works, which exist as a fallback or even a supplement to the Bitcoin network.
But what makes Bitcoin valuable now, it's worth stating, is the fact that people, use it. So it's a chicken-egg question, isn't it, with these
Well, no, it's the fact that people want it. They might not be using it.
Oh, yeah, the fact that people want it. That's what makes it worth something. The fact that would make it useful is if people used it.
Is if more people
that's the difference. Because it's pretty hard to make an argument. I mean, there's Bitcoin as a currency and there's Bitcoin as speculation. And a lot of people are buying Bitcoin as speculation because there was a story in the news just last week about someone who accidentally bought a few Bitcoins because he was writing a paper back in 2009 or whatever, and now he's a millionaire. He forgot he had them, and now they're worth so much. So that's going to prompt people to buy it and hold on to it. But I don't think that's a good investment right now. 575 seems, I don't know. Well, it doesn't seem realistic.
As other people say, if you look in the long term, buying Bitcoin at any point in the last couple of years has been a massive massive increase in value for you.
Yeah, so there's a story of someone who bought a pizza with a Bitcoin a few years ago, right? He'd have a couple $1,000s with that instead of a pizza if he kept it. So my point is it can be hard to convince people to actually spend it with that kind of a return.
Right. The hoarding aspect, which that was a concern even last year when price rise was not even nowhere close to where it is right now.
Yeah.
I think that as long as you really stress that you can use Bitcoin just as a payment processing network and then refill your Bitcoin holdings after the fact, that you can get around that argument.
Understood, yeah. Well, all this talk of money makes me want to talk about our sponsors. This week's episode is brought to you by Bitdefender QuickScan. Whenever you need a quick check or a second option, such as before logging into your favorite game, using your bank account, or buying something online, use QuickScan directly from your browser. That again is Bitdefender QuickScan. Not sure if it supports Bitcoin, but let's keep this conversation going. The Federal Reserve admitted it is watching Bitcoin. Ben Bernanke, who's the outgoing chair, says there are areas in which such currencies may hold long-term promise, particularly if the innovations promote a faster, more secure, and more efficient payment system. You're starting to hear consensus like this coming from government. At first, it was like a moral panic in reaction to the drugs and the prostitution and all the various shady kind of things being done with the currency. But now you're hearing an acceptance, maybe sometimes a little reluctant. You obviously think this is good news.
Yeah, just a quick note about the Federal Reserve. Interestingly, they're very innovative. They're not really the group that I'm concerned about. It's mainly the regulators like FinCEN and what they think about Bitcoin, which we're getting a view of their opinion through these Senate hearings. And so far, they've been very positive, surprisingly, even.
So, yeah, talk to me about the ongoing Senate hearings. They're deciding whether Bitcoin should be, more closely watched, more closely.
Yeah, it's pretty much just an exploratory hearing. Everyone's watching it in the community. No, huge bombs have been dropped yet, but so far it's been very positive news.
Well, John, is there anything else you want to get out there? If people want to get involved with Bitcoin Black Friday, they just need to go to your site, right?
Yep, bitcoinblackfriday.com, and just come participate in 9 days. That should give you plenty of time to go buy some Bitcoins.
Do you think we should even have an anonymous currency at all? I mean, shouldn't we be moving towards something more trackable, like everyone using PayPal or credit cards, so we actually know where this money's going?
There is value in having an online currency, and the government of Canada, I think we've talked about on the show before, is looking into creating its own online currency that would just count as a Canadian dollar. I don't know if it would be
verified, right? I mean, I'm talking about anonymous.
This would be verified. I mean, but the appeal of Bitcoin is that it's doing it before anyone else gets into it. I mean, if you go through a service like PayPal, you're going to have the delays and the fees, right? So I think from your perspective, John, it's more about that, right? Avoiding those kinds of delays and fees.
We already have an anonymous currency. It's called cash.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, that's what I'm saying, right? Shouldn't we be moving away from that to something trackable?
Why?
I think both sort of aspects, trackable and just straight up anonymous, have their benefits. I think privacy is a really big issue, especially online. I think that with Bitcoin, you get sort of the best of both worlds. You can have a relatively private transaction history, while still allowing some tracking. It's going to be interesting in the next couple months how the community sort of reacts and what different projects sort of come out of it, and just the general direction that the Bitcoin community heads, whether towards a more regulated, sort of safer space or more of a anonymous, focused payment system.
Well, it certainly will be interesting to see. Hey, John, we're going to talk a little more about the news. You can see it in the outline in front of you. Do you want to hang out for a while? We're going to talk about coin a little bit. That would be fantastic.
I would love to talk about coin.
In the chat room, Philip said that gold is the true currency, to which I responded, gold is worthless. There seems to be a backlash on this.
I used to sell
my
gold.
only point is that gold is only worth as much as it is because we collectively believe it's worth that much. It's no different than the dollar in that case. I mean, something that's intrinsically worth something is like uranium or rare earth metals, something that's rare and has a specific use. I think gold its value, most of it, is its use of the currency.
But it's
There-
shiny.
There's an interesting little backstory to gold.
Yeah.
One of the points in history where gold was used as a currency was basically Julius Caesar went on a war campaign and looted a bunch of gold and had to pay his soldiers. So when he came back and took power, he changed the currency from silver to gold just because he had a lot of it. Which, that's a good way to operate, I think.
There's also an interesting story about Spain, who conquered much of what we now call South America and Central America in a quest to get silver, and they got so much silver that silver actually became worthless, and it tanked their economy. So these metals are only worth something because they're rare, because we perceive them as having value. But if an asteroid made of gold crashed into the, I don't know, the Atlantic Ocean tomorrow, and then someone dredged it up, there'd be too much on the market, and everything would change, you know? So every currency is kind of worthless, is my opinion.
Except for Bitcoin.
Dick, I'm not going to say his name.
What if,
In
wait,
the
what if
chat
an
room, there's
asteroid
no-
made of bitcoins crashed into the Atlantic Ocean?
I would be extremely confused unless that happened in the world of Warcraft, in which
Oh.
case that would be awesome. Now let's talk about Coin. It combines all of your credit cards into one card that no one accepts, is my joke. But it's a piece of plastic, basically. You can program all the magnetic strips from your credit card into it, and then you can then use this to shop other places. Sounds like you could also use it to copy your mom's credit card, which might be useful. But the basic idea here is you combine your credit cards into one. My problem with it is it's $100 for something you're going to have to replace pretty quickly. But I'd like to know what you think, John. Is this useful?
I think it's interesting. I think it really sort of highlights the demand that there is for sort of a change to the current system that we have.
Yeah.
The problem is I'm pretty sure that the product doesn't actually exist right now.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. There's
So-
pre-orders going out. People are so excited about it that they're making the pre-order. It will be out next summer, in theory.
So I've heard it's actually against the Visa terms of service to copy your card. So it's actually not probably going to be launched ever.
Well,
But
yeah.
if you want
and
to throw
I doubt-
your money and back it anyway, go for it.
I mean, if you go to the bar and open a tab, as Valleyway reported in the article I linked to in the outline, they're not going to take this coin like as part of your like there's just so many questions, because when I go to the grocery store, if there's not a signature on the back of my credit card, they make me show an ID. How the heck does that work with this? They say there's something tied to a smartphone. I'm just confused as to why the tech press is so yay, this is awesome, because
I'm
it doesn't
Well,
confused why America still uses a magnetic stripe. Like the rest of the world has actually gone towards a chip and pin.
Yes.
yeah.
Which
And
Like,
is,
you mean like where you tap it on the thing, like that?
no, that's an FC. A chip and pin. It has like a little microchip in it. You push it into a machine
Yeah.
and then you type in your pin. That's how we do it in the UK now.
It's a EMV chip. It's was just like initially rolled out in the United States at like one tiny little bank like a couple months ago.
Yeah, but then no stores support it. So yay, you have this cool technology that you can't use.
Well,
To buy any-
you have to look
The
at
thing you
it.
need to
sort of
realize
as a-
about America, James, is the government doesn't want to get involved and tell people they have to do this. And if the government doesn't do that, no one's gonna actually do it. So
I
That's
forget,
where
were there
that's
pin
at.
numbers with magnetic stripe ones? You can just swipe
for-
it anywhere, right?
in the U.S., if it's tied to your bank account, you need a PIN number to buy something. Like if it's a debit card.
That's a
If
debit
it's a
card, though.
credit-
Not if it's
What?
a credit card.
If it's a credit card, you
cards
don't.
have pins; they just sign. You
Sometimes
sign
when
it.
you buy gas,
That's
you have to
crazy.
put in your zip code, which really annoys Canadians because they don't have zip codes, so then they just are screwed. um, yeah, so it's really ad hoc. It's really kind of messed up here.
Sounds
Well,
to me
I
like the
chew
system's
through those
fucked, but this
magnetic
isn't the
strips and
solution.
like, I go through like get a new debit card every like 3 or 4 months because my magnetic strips always get all like, you know.
Does your grocery store put razor blades in the swipe?
I think
What
it's
are you
from
doing?
sliding
If you put
in
them
and out of my
together,
wallet. It
Don't
gets
they like wipe each other out? That's why they always say don't put cards next to each other, right?
yeah, something like that.
He who must not be named in the chat room says the United States is often behind on technology, which I find hilarious. Well, the thing is, the United States is really big, and something might catch on in New York or LA and take years to make it to Iowa. So blanket statements like that don't serve the country well. It's a pretty big country with a lot of
I
different
mean,
things.
Iowa just got their first cell phones like last month, I think.
I believe that's accurate. I believe that's accurate, yeah.
I've done my
It's,
research here. I know these things.
It's actually just one man. His name is John. He's a slick big city banker from Des Moines, and people don't trust him and his newfangled device. Yeah. Sorry, any listeners from Iowa. Moving right along, James, how's your week going?
Okay. Let me tell you a fucking story here about PlayStation. So I had a pretty rough week last week, right? I'd been finishing off the manual and doing mad, crazy work on the site, and I just wanted to chill out and play Call of Duty. Right.
Fantastic. You should check it out. It's about starting your own online business. Look at it. John, you might learn a thing or two. Kidding. Totally.
So I logged in to play Call of Duty, and this message pops up saying your PlayStation isn't authorized to play this game.
What?
So I'm like, okay, I haven't logged in a while. Maybe it automatically logged me out, whatever. And then you've got to go to your My Account thing on the PlayStation and authorize this console. Kind of weird. I checked I was logged in, and I did that, and it said, you can't authorize this console because you have 2 devices already authorized or something. And this isn't one of them. So then I go online to check this out, and I figure, like Apple does, you can have 5 devices activated, and if you need to, you can reset them at any point, right?
Yeah.
And then you can just reactivate the ones you want to. So I'm searching through all these forums for a solution, and finally I figure out you can log in online and you can deactivate all of your devices at once. So I'm like, okay, maybe I've got a stray PS3 on my account from when I was in Japan and I got rid of it or something. Whatever, it's okay, I'll go online, fine, whatever, I'll reset. And then I go online to reset, it says you can't do this because you recently did it. And at this point I'm like, well, fuck, I've been hacked or something. So I phone up support, and they say, well, we think there's been some suspicious activity or something. And, well, the upshot of it is, after speaking to some higher-level support today, that I'm locked out of my account for 6 months. They won't reset the devices, even though I've, changed all the passwords. They basically said, okay, you're lying. You probably reset this yourself, or you logged in at a friend's house. And I can't access any of my PlayStation stuff for 6 months because there's the 6-month timeout before you can do this device reset again. It's so messed up.
I'm so surprised that a company famous for its customer service, like Sony, would do this to you. That's shocking to me.
It just takes the piss. It's okay when PlayStation gets hacked, and a million people's devices, a million people info is stolen. But when I get hacked, there's no help at all. It's just.
And it seems like they don't believe you got hacked.
Yeah. So lesson is don't get hacked.
A new PSN.
So does this mean you're gonna buy the Xbox One? Is that the moral here?
I don't know. Maybe I'll just have to give up gaming until the new Oculus Rift comes out. I mean, I'm not going to buy a PlayStation 4 now, right? Am I? Even though I was going to.
Well,
what's
not
the point?
like
I can't play anything on it.
Any good games in the past
James,
generation.
can't you just make a new PSN account? They're free.
Well, yeah, but then I'd have to pay for another year's worth of PlayStation
Oh, you have
Plus.
PlayStation
I'd have to,
Plus?
Yeah.
So, are they
Well, you know what? Our dozens
offline, right? Because it was bought online, and I don't have the DRM for it anymore. So the fact that I got fucked by paying £10 more to buy it digitally rather than popping down to Tesco and buying the DVD or whatever,
wow,
I've now been screwed by that. It's
you can't play the game at all.
No. You can't launch it. It's not even the you can't go online with it. But because it was a digital purchase, I can't play it at all.
That's terrible.
Sucks, man.
That does suck balls.
Yeah.
Maybe you should get an Xbox One.
Speaking of balls, Snapchat. The company famous for its, shall we say, private photo sharing ability, turned down a $3 billion offer from Facebook, reportedly. Wait, what? You could buy a farm the size of Vermont with that kind of money. What's going on? What?
Apparently, they also share more photos in a day on Snapchat. I heard.
There's no proof of that. That did circle around. There's no.
I am the proof of that because I'm sharing all of the photos.
Oh, you're on Snapchat, buddy?
I share all 300 million a day? That's all me.
That's all.
I'm very busy. My penis is in the spotlight constantly.
How can you have so many different dick sizes at once, Dave?
Oh my goodness.
Well, you know.
Sorry, John.
It's all about getting the angle too to make it look like I have boobs, but you know, got to get the right angle so my chest looks like boobs.
Wow, I'm on.
I don't think John's here anymore. He gave up.
On the cover for the okay. How this company has no business model, no discernible plan to make money. They're kind of hostile to the notion that they should stick ads in there or something. How do companies like this keep becoming worth so much? Is this all just a giant bubble that's going to come flaming down, or am I just out of touch with reality?
They aren't worth that much. That's the point.
It seems like that's how the internet works. It's like they like a challenge. They buy a company that's not making money, and they're like,
Facebook's just like, well, it seems to be working out with Instagram. They seem to be turning it around with the new advertising scheme. Investors seem to love it. So I clearly don't know what I'm talking about. But it just seems amazing.
That Tumblr thing for a bill, and that doesn't do anything for money.
Yeah. I'm not thinking that Yahoo is necessarily making wise investments, but Facebook seems to know what they're doing with Instagram. But the fact that they offered $3 billion and then Snapchat's like, yeah, you know what? We're a company of 20 people that just puts out an app that people can use for free with no discernible revenue models, so I'm going to say no. What is going on?
I think we genuinely lost John. Is he still there? John!
No, I'm still here.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
I thought we lost you. We can be a little intimidating when we get off topic. With $3 billion, that's like 20 Bitcoin. That's.
Well, I think 40 at the last exchange rate. No, I think it's an interesting sort of aspect. I don't think there's a whole lot of news exactly why he turned them down, but I don't know. A lot of people have been speculating that the founder of Snapchat thinks that kids are going to move away from Facebook into the more privacy-aware Snapchat, but I think it was a stupid move.
You know, I heard Snapchat will alert the other user if you take a screenshot of the image now.
Facebook is privacy-aware if you use the privacy function. That's
really?
The crazy thing. Like, you can do this in Facebook already. You can do this in any number of apps. It's an idea.
You can't post naked pictures on Facebook. That shit gets taken down.
Well, if you did it in the messages function, it wouldn't. And if Facebook wants to get into that particular part of the market, they could change their policy pretty quickly. So
hang on, they did. They made Poke. That was a copy of Snapchat.
Yeah, and you know what?
Wanted it.
Poking was around long before Snapchat.
No, not poking. It's a new app called Poke.
Scutterman in the chat room wisely points out that Facebook wasn't making money for a long time, and now a load of investors are scared of missing out on the next big thing. That's true. He who must not be named in the chat room also said, you argue that gold is only valuable because people assign value to it. Snapchat is the same. I'm not questioning that people assign value to it. I'm questioning whether they're right to.
I don't assign any value to it.
What do you assign value to, Dave?
Video games.
Video games.
They're valuable.
John,
it's not like everyone thinks they're worth $3 billion, though. It's just this moron at Facebook who thought, I know, $3 billion. That doesn't necessarily mean it's worth that.
If you have a lot of money, money's worthless, and Facebook has all the money, so it's a bit of a different scale. Food is the real money, says Philip. You know what? I would argue that. I would argue that agriculture is the original technology, and all other technologies since are built on top of it. If we don't have agriculture, there is no Snapchat, there is no Bitcoin, there is nothing of value made. Because if we don't eat, we don't make things. So yeah, food is the real money. I would say land, even more important. Because that you need land to make food. But never mind, $3 billion for Snapchat, whatever. Google and Bing, speaking of Snapchat, are going to block 100,000 child abuse-related searches.
Yeah, so after months of pressure from the UK government, I think mostly from the UK, Google and Microsoft have finally agreed to start blocking a list of this 100,000 child abuse terms, which they said was impossible before. It couldn't be done, but now they have. Apparently, they're unambiguous terms.
If you search for these terms, it's just blocked, nothing happens?
If you search for the terms, a warning message comes up that says what you're about to do is illegal, it's going to ruin your family, and please go here to get help. The thing I found shocking is that 100,000 unambiguous terms. I don't know about you, but if you were going to search for something online like that, I could only think of like 2 or 3 words I would use. They've come up with 100,000.
That's because you're not in the scene.
The problem with this, right, is I think the Streisand effect. Because imagine if this list gets published.
Oh yeah, people are going to start searching it like crazy.
Yeah, people are going to go onto other search engines, and suddenly a paedophile who only had 2 or 3 terms before now has this whole list of 100,000 things they could search for, which is that sucks. But anyway,
But most
Well,
of the people
100,000
searching
is a
won't be
little
actual
big.
pedophiles. It'll just be people who are just like, I want to see what happens when I search for that.
Yeah. Or that's what the pedophiles will say.
Yeah, no word if this puts a black mark on your Google account. I'm guessing it does. For their part, Microsoft and Google were like strongly resisting the move of blocking actual searches as opposed to blocking content.
Was there a legal reason for them to do this? Were they forced to, or did they just ultimately
No,
agree
just
that?
pressure from the government. There's no legal reason for them. The UK government has been on a real moral crusade this year. Earlier in July, they outlawed any porn depicting violence against women or rape of any kind, even if it's like consensual stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the kink community was pretty pissed off with that. And they're kind of really coming into people's bedrooms and telling what kink's okay and what isn't. And I think this is just
what was really going to bother me is if the kink community starts holding protests, because I just got on the news.
This is just like
John, I got a question
step
for you
in
from the chat
totalitarian
room. What is your
control.
favorite color?
What?
Orange.
Orange. There you have it.
There you go.
Even
More
more
absurd.
absurd, maybe.
Favorite color
Orange and
is
black.
orange. You heard it first on Technophilia. I'm sorry. Did you
Even
have-
more absurd was the announcement that the UK government is going to create a task force to catalogue every single pornographic image on the internet and label it and categorize it, presumably so that when you find them, you can instantly say, oh, this is whatever. And I guess our real question here at Technophilia is, where do we sign up for this task force?
That's not my question, but you're welcome to it.
James, did you hear about the other thing they're doing in the UK where they're gonna turn off porn searching by default in
Yes.
households?
Yeah,
we
David
discussed
Cameron
this,
was like, well, from now on, if husbands want to look at porn, they're going to have a very serious discussion with their wives, aren't they? It's like,
That's kind of awesome, actually, to put it that way.
it's pathetic.
So have you
Really
had that
pathetic.
conversation with your wife yet, James?
No, the internet's all in my name. I wouldn't need to.
Oh.
What would your
forgot
wife
about
say if you were to have that conversation?
She would say, whatever.
She would say, let me watch it too?
No, look, seriously though, if they wanted to tackle the problem of child exploitation, they could start by forcing companies to play more of a role in some of these countries where abuses actually occur, or they could make education until 16 like compulsory the world over and not. You know, there are so many things that you could do that aren't just stupid blocking things in search engines, which really won't work, and it could backfire. That's my only point.
Justin, that John Holmquist in the chat room is actually me. I finally figured where it was.
Oh, there's another one. Because there
Yes,
was a
that's me.
fake one, but there's two. There's John Holmquist with a space and John Holmquist without a space. So which
Without-
one is you?
Without a space is me.
Okay. For the record. You know what? Because there's a Dave Parak in the chat room, and that is not Dave Parak. I'm pretty sure Dave Parak is the name right above him that I won't say on the show. 'Cause I'm not-
Gutterman just posted the response from the UK government to an e-petition that was set up to not do this ISP filtering thing.
This is from the kink community?
It was from everyone in England, I suspect.
Okay.
When new customers set up broadband, they'll be prompted to set up parental controls. If a customer repeatedly clicks yes to get through the setup quickly, filters will be automatically selected. Well, that's cheeky.
We'll see. Let's just move right along here, just to keep things flowing. Russia is building its own GPS alternative. It's not the only country to do so. I believe the European Union is also working on one, and China is working on it. But Russia, for its, wants to put a couple buildings in the United States just to keep things working. I don't know precisely the technical reasons. I know that the U.S. has no such buildings in Russia for its own GPS system. But surprise, surprise, Congress has an irrational fear about this. They think that Russia would want these buildings to use them for spying on Americans, to which I say, really? Russia doesn't already own buildings in the U.S.? Are you sure that's true?
Wait, we're not. Countries aren't allowed to spy on other countries?
Yeah.
Is that a new thing?
No, apparently not.
Only if you're not America.
No one's allowed to spy on us if we can do something to stop it. Every country is a friggin' contradictory on this point. Every country wants to spy on every other country while allowing no one to spy on them, right? That's why Brazil, after being angry all this time, it was revealed that they were spying on the U.S. people when they were visiting. Like, this part of the reality. But it's pretty interesting to see how many countries want to build a GPS alternative. GPS is so ubiquitous that most people don't think of it as a piece of technology that is run by the American military, because why would the American military help me find out where the closest tacos are, right? But it's just a signal that the US government sends out from satellites that take time to get to Earth, and based on how long it takes to get to you, you can figure out where you are, right? But a lot of countries like Russia, like China, don't want to depend on America for something so fundamental, because if a battle happens, the U.S. has the ability to shut it off for everyone but them.
What? I never thought about that. That sucks.
They could, because they can switch GPS off for all but U.S. military personnel if they want to. So because we haven't built an international one, there's now a race to get as many of these up in the air as possible. So Russia's building it. They want buildings in the U.S. Not clear that they're going to get that, but I'm sure there's a loop around.
Shouldn't we be building everyone's alternatives? That sucks. Let's build an open source GPS, surely.
Yeah, well, yep.
throw
You
some
have
satellites in
open
space,
source
you
money
know?
for your open source satellite launching, which is going to cost open source billions. Like, how are you going to do that, buddy?
Fair enough.
Stupid James. I hate James.
We need you. This is the best part of the show. Oh man, you're weird, chat room. Yahoo's sending a bunch of old domain names, James, and I thought I would just point this out because, this could be the next iPad board games. I don't know why they own all this. I'm just going through here. AV.com is free. There's a day and 7 minutes left if you want to bid right now. It's only $125,000. Imagine what you could build with that.
I can build a site that has nothing to do with the title.
Yeah.
Well, AV is the Japanese word for porn, so I'm seeing something come to mind there.
I just assumed it was The Onion buying it for their AV club, but okay.
Why does everything always connect to porn with you, James?
That's
Bruce?
crazy. Crackers.com. Oh man, Wheat Thins is all over that.
Oh, I want that.
It's only $6,000 right now. You could have Crackers.com. You can do this. Don't tell me how it relates to porn because I don't care. HockeyTV.com.
That doesn't seem that good.
No, I don't think I want that. It's selling for $1,000, so it's kind of cheap. Video-game.com.
That
could do
sounds
something.
pretty valuable.
It's only $500, so you can bid.
You'd be
right
surprised.
now.
None of these are actually worth anything anymore since Google cracked down on exact match domains.
Oh, really? That's not as valuable. Yeah, and people don't go to web domains to visit sites anymore. They search for it, right? So yeah. It kind of seems desperate that Yahoo is just like selling these off for some quick cash instead of trying to develop some of them into like AV.com. You could certainly do something related to Yahoo News, just about TV culture or something. I don't know, man. This
But
just
they
seems
wouldn't,
kind of-
because they would just have a subdomain of Yahoo. They have. I don't know, why would they buy these in the first place?
Well, they've
Probably
had
just
them
some
since the
admin was
90s.
bored.
They just noticed that they had them this whole time. Fanblogs.com is there too, so you could do like.
But the AV.com has a reserve of $1 million.
Yeah, that's kind of any two-letter domain name is super valuable, isn't it?
Even the video-games.com has a high reserve that it's not hit yet. Quick ticks, someone's gonna get that. Quick ticks, you gotta get them ticks, yo. You gotta get them quick.
Ticks, quick. Gotta get those ticks quick.
Not like the bugs though. You don't want those. Those are you want slow ticks.
Weird internet trends news now. People on Reddit, a particular subreddit community, can't stop asking whether or not they're ugly. And it's not just women. Guys and girls alike will post to this subreddit called Am I Ugly? And ask, am I ugly? They just can't figure it out on themselves. So I thought I'd ask the chat room, guys, am I ugly? Let me know.
Yes.
Damn it, Dave.
Sorry, I had to be honest with you.
Hosting the show, I don't have the self-esteem to do it anymore.
I bet you most of these people are like ugly too. I don't know. I feel like if you have to ask, you're probably not like. Actually,
Well,
I don't know. Actually, most of them are pretty good-looking people. I'm scrolling through the list,
Oh,
and
you're
they're
going
all
through it
like
now?
just average-looking to slight. Oh, this girl's ugly. But they're
Well,
mostly
people
average
are
people.
ugly. No, but it's just
Oh, this one's. No,
Internet
never mind. I'm
increasingly
getting to the uggos now. Oh yeah.
allows us to find an unfiltered
They're
response.
also like all
to
like
questions.
17, 18-year-old people. There's not a lot of I guess once
Dave,
you're out of high
go-
school,
go-
you don't need to
Go
know.
to the new Go to the news section.
Oh no, fuck that. Fuck that. I don't go to the news section on any subreddit. That's a scary place, bro. I'm not fucking. I'm sure that's where the demons lie.
Insecurities, and in another time you might have waited until you had a really good friend and then ask, am I ugly? And then that person would lie to you because no one wants to tell their friend that they're ugly. So it's people are using the internet to try to get unfiltered access to opinions about them, and it's fascinating.
Remember hotornot.com? You go post your picture on there, and then people would rate it, and then you would see like, hey, look, I got like a 7. That's pretty good. I'm famous. I'm hot.
I never did that, but I do remember the site. Facebook's
get like
something similar, isn't it? Mark Zuckerberg had everyone rate all the women in Harvard. Yeah.
And they were all ugly because they go to Harvard.
What kind of sense does that make?
Because they're smart. Smart people are ugly by definition. Duh.
And the stereotypes come out.
Yeah, yeah, wow.
Well, if you're pretty, you don't have to bother, do you?
Yeah, if you're pretty, why would you spend the effort to go to Harvard? You could just be like a stripper.
Your life is already set up for you.
A stripper? That's the best you can think of?
Strippers make a lot of money, man.
You can
I
be
think what he meant
beautiful
was you
and
can
still
marry a
have
rich person.
ambition.
Yeah, you can marry a rich person. There you go. James works too. James works.
Wow, you guys are awful, terrible people.
So?
And, yeah. Sorry, John.
Can you guys tell?
James breaking up.
Transparency
You're breaking
Act?
up, James.
What's that?
None of us heard that.
Someone in the chat room said, "Can you guys tell us a bit about the Digital Accountability and Transparency Act that was passed in the US last week?"
I personally can't.
I've never heard of it before.
It's data.
It's
Well, that's a good
called,
name.
Oh, look at that! They made it data for short.
That's clever.
yeah.
That name is very clever. Good job, government.
Yeah, I can't speak to it right now because I don't know anything. And if there's one thing our listeners don't like, it's when I quickly read about something on Wikipedia and then discuss it as though I'm an expert. So I'm going to move right along here to a mom who hid her hacker son's laptop from the FBI in the kitchen cabinet. The force was coming down. So she, quickly thinking about how to defend her son, threw the laptop somewhere where the FBI couldn't see it during a raid, and now she's being charged for that. So don't hide evidence, people. It doesn't matter if it's a computer. Don't do it. That's kind of all I have to say about that one, unless you've got something, Dave.
I was gonna make a joke about the kitchen, but I'm just gonna leave it alone.
Yeah, because you've filled your sexism quota for this episode.
Sexism, racism, whatever you want to, whatever, all kinds of isms. I think.
In the chat room, they kept calling it Ethnic Diversity Friday because they didn't want to say black. I thought that was kind of clever. Do you remember Watson, the computer that won Jeopardy?
No.
You never saw that, Dave? It was fantastic. It's really easy for computers to do things like math problems that are logical, but it's pretty hard for them to say, hey, who was the blonde-haired guy from Hogan's Hero? Like a question like that just confuses it because it would have to know what Hogan's Hero is. It would have to know what blonde hair. There's a lot of stuff to classify and put into place, right? So IBM built Watson, which is a computer specifically designed to answer trivia questions like that, and it was really fascinating to watch if you can dig up these old Jeopardy episodes, because sometimes it would get it dead on, and sometimes it would get it wrong in exactly the way a human would never do it. So you go back and find these old episodes. It's fascinating. But the same technology behind the supercomputer, which is staggering, will be for rent for people online. IBM is opening it up to the cloud. I've got a link to a New York Times article about it. You should check it out. It's kind of fascinating.
Why would you rent it?
Because it can do almost anything. I don't think it's just for solving video game problems. The fact that they developed a system powerful enough for that means it could do a lot of things. Maybe it could be put towards customer service questions. Maybe it could be... Go ahead.
They plugged in a lot of medical journals into it as well, so you could take your WebMD questions to the next level.
You could ask it out loud and it would think about it, yeah. You laugh, but this system's very good at contextualizing information, so you could list symptoms and it could kind of figure it out based on context.
Yeah, you'll get a whole new 100-fold list of all the ways you're going to die.
Yeah, yeah.
It
could be a huge assistant for doctors, though. That's one of the things they're marketing it toward.
It could replace doctors.
No.
No,
its
really.
bedside manner is presumably terrible, and I don't think it has hands to do stuff with, but it could be a huge supplement for doctors, certainly.
So when you go into the doctor, instead of actually talking with your doctor's just going to whip out his phone and just ask. ask Watson what's wrong with you.
Yeah, you know that period when you're awkwardly sitting in the doctor's office waiting for the doctor to show up, and you think that you've finally been let in and you're going to get treatment now, but you have to wait for 10 minutes? You'll have the tablet in your hand for that part. And then when the doctor comes in, he'll know exactly what's up. What's up?
It could replace GPs in the UK. Not doctors in the sense of people who do surgery and stuff, but GPs in the kind of
general
diagnosis sense, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, there's all kinds of implications to this technology. We'll see what happens, but it's interesting to see IBM. This is their first real outreach, I think, into cloud computing as such that I know of. And it could be huge. It's not exactly affordable, though, so don't expect to just get your free account with ads in the short term. Like, it's not like that. This is very much pointed at businesses. But it's an interesting look at how the future will go. Amazon isn't known as a cloud computing company generally, but they run most of the pictures on a lot of the sites on the web, and they've been building up technology similar to this as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all goes down. The future looks different than you think. What's up?
Amazon. I like Amazon. They charge tax now, you know.
Well, they charge sales tax because they want to do same-day delivery, and to do that, you pretty much need infrastructure in every state. So.
Yep, I ordered something there, and the first time I ordered a stupid little $20 iPhone dock thing for my, with a clock, and I was like, "What the? Is this nonsense?" What? I was so mad. I paid like $1 extra.
Oh, Mixed Race Friday, not ethnic diversity. Sorry, I do make stuff up.
Philip wants me to explain Jeopardy.
You know, you were legally required to pay taxes before, you just didn't.
Shut up.
just saying.
Shut up.
Let's move on to the gaming news, the part of the show where James says something resembling reality. James, what do you got for us this week?
Dave.
Dave, damn it.
James doesn't know anything.
I know Sony sucks. I hate them.
Sony sold over 1 million PlayStation 4s on the first day.
Now, does that include pre-orders?
Yes.
That's how many they sold in North America. That's not worldwide, so that's pretty good.
Still a lot more.
How does that scale to say some of the big console releases of history?
I was trying to find that data, and I can't find that data.
Okay.
So I don't know. Maybe they weren't keeping as good a track before. There's something, I don't know.
I know that the Wii, which was at the time heralded as one of the quickest selling devices of all time, did not sell 1 million in its first week.
Yeah, but the Wii kind of because the first groups. Oh, here we go. I found something on IGN. That's because the Wii, the first people kind of had to get it and then show it to the old people, and then the old people were like, "I get this," and then they went out and bought one. So that. The PS4 was bought by hardcore gamers who knew what they wanted.
So it's a bit of a different category.
300,000 pre-orders apparently.
Yeah, so let's see. It's 10 times what the PS3 did. The Xbox 360 only sold 326,000 units in the first 2 weeks. So that's pretty good.
Well, I wonder how many of that million will be locked out of their account for 6 months. Screw you, Sony.
You're on a tear today.
I am.
What?
The Wii U sold 3.6 million in the first month, but only 427,000 in its first week. So that's, I was one of those people that bought a PS4, so there you go. Go Sony, I guess. We'll see how the Xbox One does on Friday, right? That's the big question.
Maybe 20 units at best, right?
Is the Wii U still being considered a next-gen system? Cause
I don't think it ever was.
See, they were talking about that actually on Giant Bomb the other day. They were talking about do you consider Wii U part of this generation? And
it's like GameCube.
I personally, I say you do, just because, I mean, the word generation is just like an arbitrary word created by people.
Where else do you classify it, though? It's
right, the generation is just like a chunk of time in gaming history. Like the Dreamcast, you would put it in the PlayStation 2 generation, but it's kind of like a separate. It's kind of like the Wii U. It's not really the same technology level. So I don't know. It's like, I'd say you call it this generation just because where else do you put it?
Right.
I mean, the 360 came out a year before the PlayStation 3, but they're still in the same generation.
Yeah, so that's where it gets kind of confused. Really, a year? I didn't even realize that. And
Yeah.
Nintendo's going after a different segment of the market, I think. They're not going after it successfully, but the intention is a little different.
Well, the Wii U is more aimed at your traditional gamer than the Wii
More so
was.
than the Wii, but I think they're going for younger kids and family market as
I
opposed to
wonder.
Xbox.
I wonder if that brings up the question whether gaming is just getting too powerful for younger people. Maybe it's getting too complicated with all the system specs that you're able to get.
Mm.
Well, I think that's where the Wii was so successful, was because it was just graphics didn't matter, flail around like a retard and swing arms and have fun.
Well,
So-
they also had some really well-designed games for people.
Especially like Wii Sports right out of the box. You put
Yeah.
that thing in. I showed that to older people, my friends' parents. They would be like, "Oh, okay, I push the button, I swing my arm back, and then I bowl. I understand this. I can play
They get
this."
it at a level because it's really amazing if you grew up playing video games, showing someone who's never used a joystick before.
Yeah, I mean, imagine
And,
trying to
show them
explain
how to
someone
play
how to-
something as simple as Tetris with a joystick if they're used to the keyboard. It's just completely foreign to some people.
Or
Like, they
imagine
just
trying to
don't
explain
get it.
Call of Duty. It's like, all right, it's
Yeah.
left trigger to look down the iron sights, and then right trigger to shoot, and right stick
Oh, yeah.
moves you, left stick. Like imagine trying to explain that. That's
So the Wii introduced a lot of people to the concept of video gaming, like as something that could be fun for them, whereas before it was completely alienating and weird. And then Smash Brothers came out and made it alienating and weird again. But yeah,
PS4 has some motion tracking built into it too, and the Xbox One, right?
Well,
The Xbox One-
the PS4, the camera is sold separately, so
Okay.
a lot of that stuff is based on their Kinect-like camera, but it's $60 and it doesn't come in the box. I don't have one. I didn't get one of those, so I'm not interested. If the Kinect didn't come in the box, I wouldn't get that either. But
Philip's being accused in the chat room of being racist because he said, "White people, you make me happy." Apparently.
What have you been
people-
playing so far, Dave? Are these all crap? I've heard the launch isn't that great.
Yeah, the launch games are all pretty bad. If you have PlayStation Plus, you get Resogun for free and Contrast for free. And Resogun's really good. It's like I would say it's the Geometry Wars of this generation. So it's like that kind of old school feeling small game that is a lot of fun. It's like it's kind of like Defender from back in the day, but like changed a little bit. And Contrast like a platformer where you jump into the walls and go into the shadows. That's pretty cool. There's some free-to-play games like DC Universe Online is on there. Some other
Didn't you
ones.
play a launch title?
Yeah, and then I bought Killzone.
Killzone.
See, this
Just
is
because
what I don't get about buying a system at its launch is it costs more than it will just a few months later, and there's no games. So
It's just to be a part of the, I'm one of the first people to have it.
yeah,
It's a shame they don't have like GTA 5 ready already. Can't you
Well,
get
that's 'cause
Call of
it's
Duty on
Rockstar.
it?
it seems so weird that GTA
Yeah, Call of,
5
Duty, Call of Duty's on it, but I mean, I already have Call of Duty for 360, and I don't really care about playing Call of Duty just looking a little prettier. I figure Killzone is an exclusive too, so I was
It would have
like,
been nice to compare Call of Duty to Call of Duty,
yeah,
if you see what I mean.
sure, it's the same Call of Duty, it just looks a little better.
You know what? Fuck, it would be nice to play Call of Duty right now, but I can't.
Well, what I will say is Killzone looks really good, but it's not that fun. But man, it looks good. Holy, the graphics in that game are just really good.
But don't you think they're just going to be outdated by next year when PCs have caught up again, and it's like the 10-year life cycle of the PS4 will be dead in a year?
Yeah, but
I mean,
staying
that
up to
happened-
date with PCs is absurdly expensive. That's why people like
Yeah, I
consoles.
mean, that happened this console generation too. It happens every console generation. Everybody migrates over to the consoles, and then towards the last couple years of the console's life, people start going back to the PC. Then the next one comes out, everybody runs back to consoles, and then that's kind of the cycle of gaming. But there's certain people who aren't.
Circle.
There's a large segment of gamers who are not interested in spending the money to keep up with the PC gaming scene.
I mean, a
and
decent
consoles.
PC video card costs more than most consoles mid-cycle. So
Yeah, I mean, like a top of the line or an upper middle of the line graphics card costs the same price as the PlayStation 4.
So, for the truly obsessive, sure, but if you want to sell a bunch of games, the best bet is to stick with the console because it's standardized and it's easy to understand.
Yeah, I mean, Valve's hoping to change that obviously with the Steam boxes, but or the Steam.
Not just with the Steam boxes, right?
Speaking of Valve,
let's segue into that. So
you called it a segue.
Because I love to ruin the segues. So James, this I put this on here for you because I don't give a shit about virtual reality, but apparently Valve is going to be introducing their own virtual reality prototype and will have heavy Steam integration and all that nonsense. There's really not too much known about it at this point, other than that they're going to do it.
Well, they've already announced they already have very strong support for the Oculus Rift. Anyway, they built that into all their games, right? And apparently, Oculus and Valve are very close. So, I actually wouldn't be surprised if maybe this is some kind of partnership with Oculus, a branded Oculus Rift.
I feel like that's what Oculus needs is to get into like more mainstream appeal. Is they need like a partner like Valve, a brand they're not obviously not a new brand, whereas Oculus to the casual consumer is just some random startup company that no one knows who they are. So
there are a couple of promising competitors to the Oculus Rift now. So what I'm hoping Valve is doing is some kind of open VR type thing on Steam, which we really need.
It seems like though Valve is trying to turn themselves into kind of like more like a console maker. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is like they're trying to make like the be all end all of virtual reality that shuts down everybody else.
Like if they just bought Oculus.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't.
I'd be down with that.
It seems like that the direction they're going is it seems like they're trying to more compete with Sony and Microsoft, but they're kind of behind on that, obviously. But getting like a lockdown on like a good virtual reality thing would give them something that they could advertise that the consoles don't have. Unless you
I'd back them if they want to compete with Sony, as long as they allowed you to reset your devices whenever you like.
I can't believe it. That's so weird. You need to get a hold of like a higher up at Sony and like tell them who you are or something, and maybe they can.
No, that's so dirty. I don't want to do that.
Just feel like we're gonna give you a lot of negative press here, and you should probably like take care of it.
All right, tell me, why has the Xbox One got a higher review?
I don't know. Did you see that fucking review? It was massive. I didn't read it.
I like the way it opens though. That's really snazzy.
Yeah, the Polygon is a beautiful website. I mean, they spared no expense making their site look just incredible. It's Vox Media, so you know they got the Verge and stuff. They got
Damn, those little animations are so cool.
Yeah,
God damn it.
Everybody was like, everybody flipped a shit when the PS4 review came out, and because they gave it a score, which most people don't give like hardware a score, like for a game console, because I mean, how do you pick that score? It seems so arbitrary. So when they gave it a PS4,
why does it get 0.5 more than the PS4?
So that's the thing. Everybody was like, they gave it a 7.5. They're like, that means they're either going to give the Xbox One an 8 or a 7. That's what everybody said as soon as the PS4 review came out. And sure enough, so it's like they're trying to immediately just quickly send that message that we think the Xbox One is a tiny smidgen better than the PlayStation 4. So of course, commenters are gonna go ape shit over it. And
why? Why is it better? Tell me.
I don't know. It's 0.5 better. How much better can it? It's probably because the interface on the PS4 is still a little not that great.
Well, I look forward to you being able to try both out and giving us a first-hand review here.
Yeah, I mean, the PS4 interface, you could tell that Sony is a hardware company and not a software company, because the PS4 interface is still kind of like a little clunky, and I'm sure the Xbox One is very smooth, and I'm sure it runs, you know, the interface-wise runs better. I would, just from looking at them, it just looks better. But I'll let you know next week how the Xbox One is when I get mine on Friday. So.
Well, let's. you have on this outline here been using PlayStation 4. Kind of seems like
but
you've already did that.
Yeah, we
So
did that in the sales section, so we can.
let's move on to the listener feedback. Caitlin Riggs sent us, look out for a new generation of ugly products. She says, okay, this isn't directly related to tech news, but I think it excites an idea of a prediction that the next generation of devices could be intentionally designed ugly because Apple's cornered the market on beautiful. I guess ugly could be a way for a device to stand out in a crowded market. Something that looks weird and alien could perhaps get a selling advantage. Interesting point. We'll see. What do you think, Dave?
I like my devices to look pretty. So
yeah, I like pretty things
the
too.
PlayStation 4, speaking of which, very, very pretty. Sitting on the entertainment center, that is a beautiful piece of hardware.
Dave, let John speak.
Crocs managed to sell somehow, so I think if some company made a usable device that looked slightly ugly, it would still sell.
It was cheap. Well, Apple kind of moved into the
I
ugly
thought people like the look of Crocs.
Yeah.
I don't like them, but I mean, I thought that's why people buy shoes, right? Isn't it? So they look nice.
I think that's the assumption here, is that we think everyone has the same idea of what makes a piece of hardware beautiful.
It's not objective. Read the piece. It's interesting. It discusses beauty in the context of fighter jets. Really
fighter jets are pretty.
I asked people on Facebook to guess who our Bitcoin expert might be. It was Mr. Satoshi himself. I'm going to ask you right now here, John, just while I have a second. Are you Satoshi?
No, I'm not nearly smart enough.
Okay.
Do you know Satoshi?
No one knows Satoshi.
No one's found him yet.
Yeah, no one knows who he is. I asked if I was the only one who thought coin was a really dumb idea. One person did say I agree that at $100 it's ridiculous. Zach Burt said it's just you. Someone else said it's just you guys. I love the idea. I typically only have one debit card next to my phone. It would be perfect for me. Someone else said, pros, all your cards in one place, lightweight, small, stylish. Cons, easy to steal your credit card info, and if you lose it, you don't have another card you can use. Yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't thought of that. Yeah, and that was kind of about it from the past week, I think. Oh, feedback from last week's episode. So, John, just so you know, instead of doing this last week, we just played a game. It was Numenera, which is kind of like Dungeons and Dragons, like a tabletop role-playing game kind of thing. At first, the chat room seemed to really hate it, and they were hostile against us, but I will say that everyone who hung out till the end loved it. Adam T. got up to touch on with us on Twitter. Never heard from him before. He said the RPG episode was amazing. I say do it once a month and take away Dave's Loki powers. So Kashi countered saying Dave's Loki powers saved the show. But anyways, we're contemplating this. We're seeing if we could move forward with some kind of RPG related show. Could be fun. James certainly wants to, but he wants to do Dungeons and Dragons, which is way too much work for anyone to set up.
I've been talking to Cannon about the new version of Dungeons and Dragons, which he reckons is a lot easier to run. So we're looking into that.
As long as I have the ability to manipulate people, then I don't care.
I think this should be a spin-off show and not part of Technophilia proper, though, because I would like to keep doing this. And yeah, my time is limited too, so I don't know if I'd love to join you guys.
You don't have anything to do.
What? Shut up, Dave.
You do nothing. You sit around and you write emails and you.
Yeah, you're just a figurehead, Justin.
Yeah.
You're just there to make us look good.
You're there to sit there and look pretty. That's what you do.
You're like the queen.
The 30 emails I've gotten since this show started kind of make me feel like a bit more than a figurehead, but okay.
Yeah, but you know that 29 of them are from the author list and are absolutely meaningless.
Mark is red. Just Mark is red. That's your friend.
Mark is red. No, I have to respond to them.
I haven't responded to an email in my life.
Looking weird and alien has made you stand out. Do I look weird today? What's going on?
I don't know.
Oh, it's because of my haircut, maybe.
You do look like an alien.
That's true. Yeah, so that was kind of the consensus seemed to be from people who bothered to get in touch that the episode was great. So maybe we'll do something else. There was popular call for inspectors, which Rob said he might do. We'll see.
Jess told me she finally finished it yesterday, and she said that it was boring until the end.
It was also called a weird Technophilia dream by one fan. So we'll see if we do it again. But it's going to be a while because we got to keep doing this. John, Sorry if we kind of got boring for you toward the end there, but I really want to say how much I appreciate you taking the time to hang out for the show like this.
I weirdly had a lot of fun.
You had a lot of fun. It's been great having you around. There will be a link to a Bitcoin Black Friday if anyone wants to check that out in the show description when it goes live at makeuseof.tv. Thanks so much for listening live, everyone who did. If you didn't, check it out. You can chat with everyone on the show in real time at makeuseof.com. We go up around 11 o'clock Eastern Time in the USA at makeuseof.com every Wednesday. So
Sometimes
you can talk
we're
with
late.
us.
Yo, I think we've hit a high in the chat room today. There's like 22 people there.
You know what? I made the art say live now in big letters, and it seems like that works, so I'm going to keep doing that. So welcome, new listeners. But if you like listening on your podcast player, which is my preferred way to do it too, you can still talk to us. You can still get in touch with us at facebook.com/Technophilia podcast. You can go to Twitter at the Technophilia, or you can connect with me directly on Twitter at JHBot. You can connect with Dave at Sidox. Don't connect with James. He is useless. And John, are you on Twitter, or if people wanted to reach you, what would be the best way to do that?
I believe we have a Bitcoin Black Friday Twitter account somewhere.
Oh, okay. I was looking for it when I was tweeting the show out to our followers, and I couldn't find anything. So,
I think it's at Bitcoin Friday.
At Bitcoin Friday, there you go. If you can verify that, stick it in the outline. We'll make sure it goes out with the notes of this episode. So, John, what we usually do at the end of the show is we hang out. The fans tell us what the art and title for this week should be, and then I design it, and we keep chatting, but it's not going out on the podcast. You don't have to hang out for that if you don't want to, but you can. You're invited to.
I'm around here. It's fine.
Okay. Thanks for taking the time, John. It's really been awesome. And if the chat room has any more questions about Bitcoin, fire them away. From the perspective of someone who's trying to run a business, less technical. But you know the technical side pretty well too, don't you?
Yeah, I'm not technical by background, but
yeah,
once you examine Bitcoin for as long as I have, you kind of have to go into the technical side of it.
You're pretty good at explaining Bitcoin to people who don't understand it.
Right.
What stood out?
I still don't understand it.
Okay. Do you want to learn something today?
No.
Chat room.
Not really.
Scudderman in the chat room has proposed the title "Worth More Than Snapchat," which is pretty good.
Technophilia worth more than Snapchat.
Justin is the queen.
I said a little bit alien because of
a little bit alien.
And you look a little bit alien.
Why do I look a little bit alien? What's going on? Is it?
I don't know. That's just what they said in the chat. I don't know what they do.
Okay. I like how the voice of Bitcoin is just this little circle with a vague figure of humanity. Yeah. We really, before the show, we were a little late because we were trying to get John set up. And, it's always a little weird last second trying to get someone's equipment working. So sorry about the delay, everyone, but thanks for hanging out.
Hey, I have a random question. How did people make maps before there was, like, aerial views of the land?
Well, it was a crap load of work. It's called cartography.
How do you do it, though? How do you know you're right without being able to see it from above?
You measure as you go.
This is fascinating to me.
Yeah, you should look into it. It's pretty interesting. Because we only had satellite images that are from above. I guess you could kind of do it with the advent of flight, right?
Yeah,
that's not even 100 years ago.
That's what I'm saying. They've had maps for thousands of years. Like, it just blows my mind that somebody that people did that.
Yeah, that is kind of nuts. It would be great. I mean,
you know how they did it? Aliens.
Have
you ever seen that show, Ancient Aliens?
You are banned from watching the History Channel.
I love that show. The nonsense those guys say on that show is just fucking incredible.
As long as you know it's nonsense.
Fucking, especially Giorgio, the guy with the hair that was the meme for a while. That guy, man, he is.
I don't understand it. Therefore, aliens.
He's on some other shit. I love that guy.
Oh man.
Anyway, sorry, that was a random aside, but I guess it relates to technology.
Sort of.
Technology of maps.
You should look into cartography. It's pretty fascinating how they did it. You use bitcoins to make maps. Wow.
Oh, bitcoins! I knew it was the bitcoins that did it.
Yeah.
It all connects.
There are varying levels of intelligence in terms of our comments, John. I'm not sure if you noticed. It's kind of what happens when you let the internet respond to you in real time. More or less what you'd expect, I think.
I'm enjoying some of these commenters.
I really like our chat. It's one of the funnest chat rooms on the web.
I hate them all, especially Dave Parak. He's a
Fake
slime.
Dave Parak or the real one whose current name is Dick?
I don't know.
I tried so hard not to say on the show, you asshole.
Everybody named Dave Parak with nicknames or whatever. You're just if your name is Dave Parak, I hate you.
So, Dave Parak is a writer for Make Use Of, John, and people have been trying to get him to come on the show for a long time, and he just won't do it. Ancient Aliens, Kashi says, I thought it would be cool, but after I watched it, I felt so much dumber. Oh man, that's good.
I just take it at face value. It's like it's a comedy show. Is how I look at it.
African American Bitcoin Friday.
Promise the comments won't switch to Google+.
I'm not calling it that, but that is great.
I like the worth more than
Snapchat?
Yeah, I like that.
What should the art be, you think, chat room?
A Bitcoin.
Just a Bitcoin?
Yeah, it's worth more than Snapchat.
That's probably actually true. Yeah.
I say that's what
What's a good Bitcoin graphic here?
The orange.
Steal one from Google.
Orange logo.
Just
what
this one
people
here.
like.
You see my screen,
Wait.
John?
Yeah, one sec. Not that one. Go up a bit. The logo above that one, the orange coin. I like that one.
Just the the vector one.
Yeah. Not whatever weird outlined one that one is.
People like to do like weird shapes on it and stuff. Oh, if I do official Bitcoin logo, there we go. Yeah, there we go. That's good. Like that, right?
No. Close
No?
Close that one and go down a little bit. The circle with the Bitcoin. Yeah, that one.
This one here?
I think that one gets the most use. Either that or the actual vector coin.
Yeah, I want the actual vector coin. Let's see if Wikipedia has it.
I'm famous. Who's famous? Dot. Who's dot? Is that Dave Parak?
Common Bitcoin logo. Oh, there we go. It's public domain, so I'm free to use it. Should we get something in the background of this?
The Snapchat ghost.
What? 1 BTC equals 1,000 Snapchat.
A picture of a shirtless man with black bars over his nipples.
No.
Snapchat.
Not happening.
I said a shirtless man, not a shirtless woman. We're not going nudity here.
Okay, well this is a SVG, I guess.
Bitcoins are funny.
You're funny.
They're so coin-like.
Justin Potcoin? What's going on, guys? That's weird.
You know the chat. They're just
we get a lot of word soup type title suggestions in the chat. Here we go. Media. See if I can find just... Man, people like doing weird stuff with the Bitcoin logo, don't they?
Yeah.
People like doing weird stuff in general. People are weird.
Yeah.
I keep trying to tell people to make new Bitcoin logos because the ones that come out are kind of different.
The shiny one, yeah. I just want one that's big enough, you know?
That's what she said.
Not this one. This one's not good enough.
It's okay. It just kind of looks different.
Yeah, I know. I gotta find one that's the right resolution, though, you know?
Let me find
This is the one. This is the one here. Right?
Yeah, that's big.
Okay, there we go. Drag to desktop. It's a little weird because I got my laptop up on a box today. So I can
Laptop on a box.
Laptop on a box.
There's one thing Justin loves, it's putting his laptop on a
box.
We should be songwriters.
Worth more than Snapchat. So yeah, I think the putting the live now, chat with us in real time on the make use of homepage kind of worked because people showed up. Worth more than Snapchat.
We are worth more than Snapchat. I got an offer for $4 billion to buy us once, but I rejected it.
What? You got a $4 billion offer and we're still doing this show?
I rejected it. I told them that our pride is worth more than $4 billion.
No, it's not. What are you doing?
Maybe I should have consulted you guys before I said no.
Maybe we should have talked about this, buddy.
Sorry. Well, I guess I owe you guys each like a bill and a half.
A bill and a half.
It's in the mail.
Whose face would be on the $1 billion bill?
Justin.
See, I'm so confused because this is the 90th episode, but it is now titled Technophilia 89. Though I think it brings us back into reality because we skipped a number at some point.
What if we did a Technophilia Ancient Aliens cast where we all discussed our own ancient alien theories?
As long as we're clear that anyone who actually believes this is stupid, I'm fine with it.
I would like to do that.
You think? What does the chat room think? So here's our art. It's kind of simplistic right now. But I like it. I like it in its simplicity. Chat room Ancient Aliens episode? What do you think? Like, we can do whatever we want. This is our show. We just have to kind of tie it back to technology, right?
What if we came out with, like, crazy theories that were, like, nonsensical about technology, and that would be our Ancient Aliens podcast?
We could do that. We could totally do that. As long as we got fit some news in there at some point. So this is the art. I think I'm going to go with it. Again, thanks for doing this show, John. I hope this helps spread the word a little about Bitcoin Friday. You run a lot of other stores too, though, don't you?
I work with some other companies in the space. Most recently, I've been working with Ripple Labs.
So are you a consultant that helps them?
Yeah, basically. I'm working with them, just helping them build their community right now.
Okay.
Is this your full-time job, just dealing with Bitcoins, or do you have a day job too?
Bitcoin and math-based currencies are my full-time job. I work with startups, basically. So I've just been working in the Bitcoin startup space.
I hate the show Ancient Aliens, and if aliens see it, they will exterminate the human race because they think we are idiots because of the show. As usual, Philip, your analysis is that most reading in the chat room. Thank you. So it's a bit weird touring our chat room. What?
I just doodled up a little logo. Let's see if you like it.
Oh, okay. You got it on your screen there? I think you
there
can
you
do.
Go. I sent it to you on chat.
Which chat?
The live chat.
Oh, the live chat. Oh, here's me looking at our other one. You want that for the show, you think?
Just playing around. What was it?
Why is it a ghost?
That's the Snapchat icon.
Ah, hey, look at you. How can I get at this here? There we go. Now, I'm going to stick that in there, see how I like it.
Koshi says, I want to be on the show. He loves making crazy theories.
Obviously, your Abraham Lincoln rant needs to get in there somewhere. So just to give you a bit of a tour of our chat room, because it can be a little bit of a confusing place to be, John. Koshi is our biggest fanatic, I would say. He has been listening to the show since like episode 5 or something ridiculous. That was before I was listening.
No, he came in like the teens, I thought, but he went back and listened to all of them.
Yeah.
In like a day and a half.
So we started this show not as part of the site we worked for. It was like its own thing.
It was my idea, by the way.
Yeah.
Dude, I can dig up the email I sent about starting a...
Yeah, did you actually do anything about it? No.
No, because I was shut down.
Right, so I went and started one
we're
without
not interested
anybody's
in it.
permission. on Make Use Of, whereas you just bowed down like a little bitch and said, "Oh, no podcast? Okay." I said, "Well, fuck that. We'll start one outside of Make Use Of because I am awesome."
I think
So
the
then
problem
Make
is
Use Of
none of
bought it out
our
later,
authors
but
wanted to talk to me.
Kashi's been listening more than anyone else, and probably more than it is healthy. And his brother, supposedly, his name is Philip, but we're not altogether sure if Philip actually exists or not, or if Kashi just has 2 tabs open. And I really enjoy the ambiguity of that. So that's that. And then we've got Dave Parak, who's usually in the chat room as someone else, and then lately there has been someone pretending to be Dave Parak as well. So that's another confusing layer here. And then, oh, what else? There's usually someone who's impersonating a celebrity, so we have had at various points in the past. The Pope, I think, was in the chat room once. So we have a lot of really serious figures in terms of global politics in here.
I guess so.
Yeah, and that's the rough tour. And then there's Scudderman, who's always around. He's like sane. That makes him special. And yeah, so it can be a little confusing. It's the crew. Yeah, they're really more part of the show than I am.
Everybody's more part of the show than you are.
Yeah, it's true. I'm really an accessory to this whole. What do you think of that, guys?
Where am I looking?
Worth more than Snapchat. I think I like it. Thanks for your contribution there. It's not. I don't think we've ever had a guest who actually made art. So that's pretty awesome.
I try.
Yeah, you really do, man. You really do. And it's been a blast having you on. How's this look, everyone? Last call.
It looks terrible.
Yeah? What would you do to fix it?
No, I'm just kidding. I didn't even look at it.
Okay. Oh, wait, that's a little weird, isn't it? Gotta make sure that it more or less works.
More or less works.
By Nexus, just wire and... I don't know. If you like Android, I can't recommend anything more than Nexus.
I don't like Android, so what do I do?
And keep your shiny iPhone thingy.
I gotta get a new iPhone soon.
Speaking of ugly, you could get one of the ones with the bright colors on the back.
No, I'm gonna get a 5S.
It's like Apple's cheap iPhone is like half as powerful and $50 cheaper. So of course no one's buying it. I'm baffled that they're surprised by this.
Is it not doing well, the cheap one?
No, not comparatively.
That's not. I can't see a reason to buy it.
It's not that cheap, right?
Right, yeah, like it just save up, wait an extra month and 2 months and save an extra $100 and get the one that's like vastly superior.
It's not even 100, it's like 50, I think.
I think it's 100. It's 100 for the 16 gig and 200 for the 16 gig 5S.
Well, that's not properly centered, but I'm going with it.
The story of Technophilia. Well, that's not properly centered, but
I'm going
good
with
enough.
Good enough for government work. Can't believe you turned down a $3 billion offer.
Well, $4 billion, but
what would you do if you legit had $1 billion?
Buy some stuff.
I would invest it. I would travel, and I would give away $1,000 a day to random strangers.
I think I'd buy Make Use Of.
I saw a random documentary last night about just the U.S. military building an Arctic base in Greenland.
Okay.
That just sounds amazing to me.
Building an Arctic base in Greenland. Okay, I'm gonna put my face back on the screen. You want your own Arctic base for Bitcoin?
If I get $3 billion for selling Bitcoin Black Friday to Facebook.
Oops. Facebook, are you listening? Bitcoin Black Friday is available. They will not turn you down. $3 billion, but you got to pay it in Bitcoin. Wait, someone trying to make. a $3 billion transfer would break Bitcoin, wouldn't it? Like, is there that much money in the system right now, even?
It's $7 billion market cap, but
Yeah. So in order to make that purchase, Facebook would have to own over 30% of all Bitcoin.
yeah, but if they started buying 30% of Bitcoin, the price would go up, so the market cap would increase.
Oh, see, that's the trick, isn't it? We're learning economics today on Technophilia podcast.
It's like magic.
The Gathering.
I like
Dave,
it. Yes.
Dave teaches the world economics. It's like magic. In the chat room, you will see the art, and you will love it, and you, Dave, will use it. I will also email this to you, Mortals.
I will do nothing of the sort. I don't want to use your art. Your art is ugly, and I hate you.
Real talk.
Nothing I say is real talk. It's all fucking nonsense. But at least I admit it.
You know, it's really funny because we put a lot of work into this show to try to make the conversation high quality, and I think most of our fans are here for Dave.
It's
So
true.
we can't get rid of him. We're just stuck, John. This is my life now. This is...
You spend so
Yeah.
much time on the outline trying to put together like a serious show,
I
that,
know. And then
Yeah.
Dave's like,
and then I just come in. I'm like, fucking bullshit, nonsense.
I think that's what makes it work, though. That's what we have over NPR. That's what they won't do. Yeah.
That should be your tagline. We're not
Yep.
NPR.
Oh man, I wish I'd leave this for NPR in a heartbeat, but
What? They'd probably make you do it for
He doesn't
free,
mean it.
though.
what?
They probably wouldn't pay you.
No, I would ask for money twice a year. You know, it's a lot of work putting this show together, and it's only possible because of contributions from viewers like Kashi. Kashi here gave $1,000 in order to keep the show alive. Kashi, tell us why you did that.
Kashi here gave 1,000 bitcoins to keep this show alive.
Wow, that's like a lot of money. Oh, well, I'm going to wrap up here. John, I don't think anyone's ever stayed through the art and contributed art before, so you are the current leader, I'd say.
You are the winner.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Habit RPG guy won't like that.
What's up?
We better get him back on.
It's
Yeah.
Habit RPG.
Yeah.
Uh,
We better
Tyler
get him
from
back
Habit
on so we
RPG.
can beat
Have
the
you
rest.
heard of Habit RPG, John?
No, I haven't. What is that?
It's like a to-do list app that's also a role-playing game, so you level up for finishing your tasks, and you get killed
okay.
if your tasks too long. Yeah. So he hung out for a long time. He was cool too. We should have him back. He was a great guest. Fans really liked him too.
We
We'll
need
see.
to end this show, guys. Come on. You're not.
There
you're
will
not
be
letting me
reviews of
download
you
it
later.
anymore.
John, thanks for hanging out. Thanks everyone in the chat room. I'll stay in the chat room, but the live stream is ending now. Is the chat room dead? Is the chat room dead? Ask in the chat room. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Thanks.